is to introduce yourself by using a word that best describes you, followed by your name, and tell us a little bit about yourself. So I'm going to kick this off. Oh, it looks like Imran is here. Is Imran here? Imran, say hi.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, guys.
Okay. Marcella, if you can also pin Imran, he's our final panelist. IMRAN. Okay, perfect. All right, Imran, we're just starting with introductions. I will introduce myself first. Hi, I'm Optimistic Gayatri. I am an Indian woman. I am wearing a green shirt with white flowers today. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and after about 20 years of working in tech for companies like Apple and Intuit, I founded my own company, The Accidental Ally, and I'm focused on helping companies embrace accessibility from the ground up. And I'm really excited to be here today. I'm going to pass it over to Sheri.
Thanks, Gayatri. I am stubborn Sheri Byrne-Haber. I'm the head of accessibility for the founder of the accessibility program at VMware, where I'm currently an accessibility architect focusing on outreach and innovation. I am a very tall white woman in my, let's just say, 50s and leave it at that. I'm a wheelchair user with glaucoma, wearing my very comfy Cal sweatshirt. Go Bears. Do I hand it off to the next person?
No, I got this. So before
I give it, okay, great.
Thank you, Sheri. Before I give it to the next person, I'd like to ask the audience, while the panelists are introducing themselves, go ahead and put your name in the chat box with the word that best describes you, because we want to see what everyone's name is and your word is. So let me ask Lucy. Lucy, go next.
Hi, I am a passionate accessibility evangelist. My name is Lucy Greco. I work for UC Berkeley and I lead the University of California Accessibility Initiative. I'm not that much for visual description, so I'm going to pass on that.
Okay, thank you, Lucy. Let's have Meryl go next.
Hi, that is driven. Meryl Evans, pronouns she, her. I have shorter than curly hair, pale skin, a dark top with hashtag ally, and glasses.
Tell us what you do, Meryl.
I'm waiting on the captions or that are behind. Oh, what I do, I am a digital.
I don't know why there is a slight delay in the captions. I apologize. We'll give you a few minutes, Meryl, to catch up. Sorry about that. Imran, would you like to go next?
All right. My name is Imran Ahmed. I am tenacious. I don't like to give up. I'm actually wearing the typical Pakistani clothes, so like shalwar kameez, and I can afford to do that because I'm able to work remotely for right now, so it's pretty comfortable while I can work. I'm an accessibility architect, and I work for Charter Communication. I've been in this space for about 10 years. And I also have my wife, Jan Ahmed, with me, who's also visually impaired.
Hi, Jan.
Hi. Hi.
What's your word? Tell us a little bit about you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. My name is Jan, and today I'm exhausted. That's my my adjective for the day. I do some accessibility testing, kind of contract part-time, but I also help children navigate their schoolwork. So that tends to be much more of a chore than I'd like it to be.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here. Let's have Mark go next.
Hello, everybody. I'm cool. That's my word, cool Mark. I'm deaf, and I'm an accessibility specialist, and I work with businesses, organizations, and I help solve their accessibility and inclusion needs. Myself today, I am wearing a blue shirt, and I have contacts in. Normally I'm wearing glasses, and I wear hearing aids. Sometimes I talk for myself, but I prefer to use sign language. So thank you. Back to you.
Thanks, guys. Mark, can you tell us a little bit about the support you have today as you're signing, so that people who don't know much about accessible events know what's going on?
Yes, I can. So I work with Beth Wagmeister, and Beth was with the WAG group, and she and I partnered together to increase awareness for deaf people in South Florida, raising awareness about teaching about education, doing presentations and workshops on accessibility and inclusion for the deaf and hard of hearing people to make events friendly for deaf people. So today, my voice interpreter is Beth.
Thank you so much, Mark. Rojene, you're up next.
I have glasses on. My hair is curly. I am, and I also do web development. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, panelists. Let's get into it, okay? I'm starting with myth 0. People with disabilities live a dull and boring life. Sheri, I'll have you go on this first.
Well, I was the first Girl Scout to get a badge in computer science. So I don't think my life has been dull or boring at all. I have 3 daughters who do amazing things in healthcare. I have a wonderful husband. Nothing about, I'm practicing right now for the Paralympics in archery. I just hit a high score on the range a couple of days ago. So nothing about my life is dull or boring. And you know, nothing about my life makes me not want to live my life. I mean, I've heard people say, oh, being disabled, I'd rather be dead. And that's literally one of the most offensive things that you can say to somebody with a disability.
Thank you, Sheri. Lucy?
So I wish I was boring. I mean, really, sometimes it's exhausting, but I am a very busy, very passionate person. I run my own YouTube channel. I have a cooking YouTube channel. I'm constantly looking for new ways to teach people about accessibility. I am a Paralympian. I have a bronze medal in the Paralympics. I have traveled around the world. By age 25, I had visited 6 different countries and had done so all totally blind and mostly independently.
Thank you, Lucy. Meryl?
So how many of you have jumped out of a plane? I have. So I wouldn't call that boring. I have been very fortunate to live a very active life. I am a mom, a 3, a wife, a daughter, a digital marketer for more than 20 years, serving all kinds of clients. I have worked for the government. I have worked for private companies. I love to do things like go zip lining and working out. So I definitely don't live a dull life.
Thanks, Meryl. Imran and Jan, you're up next.
All right. So after you hear our stories, you can decide for yourself how dull of a life we live. So when I first came to the US, I was actually 21. And that was the very first time I got on a plane and left my very own city. I didn't even travel before then because my parents were so protective. And I had to just show everybody what I could do. So I came to the US for higher education independently with my sister, who's also blind. And since then, there have been countless adventures. I've done bungee jumping. I love roller coasters. The thrill of those. And then I love traveling. During pandemic, even we did a lot of traveling throughout the country, and we hope to travel internationally this year once we have our kids' passports. So I and my wife are both blind, but our kids, we have 2 boys and they can both see, and we are managing them just fine to this day. So they keep us on our toes and keep us engaged and like alert. So it's definitely not boring. There's not a dull moment in our day.
I bet. Mark?
So I share a little bit about from my parents and my sisters, and they would agree that I have never had for 1 minute with me that is a dull moment ever. I'm a nomad. I travel all over the place for over 25 years now, and I live in 10 different states. I worked on boats, on ships, on cruise ships, and I've lived on top of a mountain. So I've lived also in the center of a downtown area, and also I've many different experiences. But yeah, so I would say that dull, that's not in my vocabulary. Nope. It's just not.
I can attest to that, having known you, Mark, for a while now. I have to ask you, is your mom here, Mark?
Yes.
Hi, Darlene. Shout out to Mark's mom. Hey, guys, everybody say hi to Darlene. Okay, Rojene, let's have you go next.
Well, for me, I don't know what is dull, but I like to travel. I love to hang out with my friends and my family. I love to shop.
You look like one today.
I enjoy life like everybody else.
Thank you, Rojene. I would like to ask the audience to stay engaged with us. Keep typing into the chat box as you have comments, questions. We would like to make this a two-way conversation as best as we can. But since time is limited, let me just jump right into it. Sheri, we're gonna get into the serious topics now. Sheri, myth 1. People with disabilities have unsatisfactory performance, will cost the employer more, and will quit when things get too hard.
Well, that's actually 3 myths, and they're all quite easily busted. People with disabilities actually over-index on loyalty. They're more likely to stay with a company, partly because once they have a job, they don't want to go look for another job. Interviewing is hard, and trying to convince somebody when you have a disability that you can do the job equally to somebody else is also hard. So when they find a good job, they tend to stick with it. People with disabilities, because they occasionally need time off during the middle of the day for things related to their disabilities, actually end up putting in extra hours. So if you look at the number of hours somebody with a disability puts in, it's actually more than an employee without a disability. And there's a very well-known survey from the Job Accommodations Network, which is at askjan.org. I'll put that in the chat window, that says that 50% of accommodations cost less than $250. So it's quite common for accommodations to be process changes or schedule changes or things that don't really cost anything at all. So that busts those that myths 1A, 1B, and 1C.
Thank you, Sheri. Myth 2 is for Lucy. People with disabilities don't want to work. If they do, then they only want simple jobs.
You're killing me here. This is a terrible myth. It's not true. It's absolutely inaccurate. People with disabilities want to contribute, want to participate. They're a big part of society, and they're a valuable part of society. I'm going to cheat a little bit and go backwards into Sheri's prompt a little bit, because I think the two things are very connected. when people with disabilities do start participating in your projects, work for your company benefits because they get that diversity and inclusiveness in the product mindset, in the company mindset, and teach people around them that they're just people. And you get a whole lot of benefit, just like having a company with a bunch of men, having women work for them increase the diversity, having people with disabilities increases the diversity. And people with disabilities really want those jobs. They want to be out there. They want to be interactive. You'll notice that all of us here on this panel talk about having fun, talk about being engaged. Nobody wants to be that person sitting at home. We all want to contribute.
Thank you, Lucy. Meryl, myth number 3. All deaf people use sign language, read lips, or wear hearing aids. All deaf people cannot speak.
Can't tell you how many times people have assumed that I know sign language the minute they find out I'm deaf, including accessibility pros and one United States Vice President. When I share my experience, I always preface it that I can't speak for all deaf people. We're all different. Some of us are born deaf, some of us are late deafened, some of us wear hearing devices, some don't. Some of us learn to speak and read lips. Some of us learn to communicate with ASL. Some do both. Some do one and switch to the other later in life. Today, you've met Morgan. He signs, I don't. There was no right or wrong way to communicate. It just is. The next time you meet another deaf person, that person will have their own differences in story. Yes, we're all different. Instead of assuming, ask. Next time you meet someone and want to ask about accommodation, ask, what can we provide to help you be successful? Ask everyone this question.
Thank you, Meryl. This came up in our panel discussion yesterday too, and I think asking is always a good place to start. Thank you for sharing. Imran, you're up next. Myth number 4. People with disabilities don't get married and raise children.
Oh, that's just completely a nonsensical myth. We are all human beings, and I think that's. I'll let Jan answer this question, and then I'll follow up.
I think that a lot of times people don't understand how we can have children or how we can marry and have children because they don't see us as just normal, regular people. So it's hard for them to think of all the things that they can do sighted or all the things they can do able-bodied that we can't do. And so disabled people have been having relationships and children forever. It's just hard to get them out of that mindset of only thinking they can do a few things and not really realizing that the disabled person is an entire whole person who has wonderful qualities, who makes mistakes, who, parents similarly to the able-bodied person for the most part.
Thank you, Jen.
And
Yeah.
As far as marriage goes, I mean, so we have been happily married for over 10 years, and we have 2 boys, 9 and 5. And Jan, she's a stay-at-home mom. Before having our first child, she was working with the same company that I was at. And she's been taking great care of the kids from day one, helping them with schoolwork, homework, even though this past year, actually, due to COVID, we kept our kids at home, and we were able to help them do their schoolwork online without challenges. I mean, there were some challenges, obviously, but because websites and applications may not be accessible, but as far as our determination and skill level goes, we were able to adapt and help them grow.
Thank you, Imran and Jan. Mark, myth number 5. Deaf and hard of hearing people are not as intelligent or ambitious as other people.
Well, that's definitely a myth. That's not true. If I flip the script, right, and I could say that my comment would be that hearing people, they don't know sign, and maybe they're not as intelligent or ambitious because they don't know sign, right? We know that's not true. So in fact, and keep that in mind. But if you think about, there are 5 people who are very smart and very motivated in education and ambitious. You know who the inventor of the light bulb? Thomas Edison. You familiar with him? He was deaf. We also have protocol name, sorry, Tom, I'm sorry, Hebby Gimra, Claudia Gordon. We have Vint Chief, who's he's hard of hearing, and he invented the TCP. These are all wonderful protocols. And Claudia, sorry, Gordon, Black deaf lawyer. And we have Bean Burma, who's deaf blind and Black. She's a lawyer as well. She graduated from Harvard University. And we have a woman who's an executive for a brand for Google. So really, it's a myth. It's not, the myth is not the problem. The problem is more that we need to recognize that deaf and hard of hearing people and their contributions to the world, that's what needs to be recognized. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right, Rojene. Myth number 6. All people with cerebral are unable to speak and have a cognitive disability. Tell us a little bit about your experience going to community college as you respond to that myth.
Hear that I can talk, right? There was a time when I had to do like a speech at a church with 200 people. Yes, but it's like a process as quick as others. For instance, I remember a time at college, and they for a note taker, and they didn't give it to me. So I did really good in college for 1 year, but in the second year, it got difficult. So I switched, was a techno college, where I did it for 7 months, and I did really, really well for government this time. And now I'm happy where I am now. And now I'm also a
Thank you, Rojene. Okay, back to Sheri. This is one of my favorite ones. Myth 7. Building accessible and inclusive products only benefits people with disabilities. Take it away, Sheri.
So we have a term in the accessibility profession called a curb cut. And a curb cut are those dips in the sidewalks that allow people like me to get from one side of the street to the other in my wheelchair without having to ask for help. But when you watch a corner on any given day and look and see who uses the curb cut, it's kids on skateboards, it's people on scooters, it's Amazon delivery people pushing package trolleys, or people dragging luggage, or moms pushing strollers. The vast majority of the people who are using those dips are not people with disabilities. So that's what a curb cut is. It's something that was designed to help somebody with a disability, but has an extensive benefit for people without disability. You know, look at the captions that we have that you can turn on today. Yes, it helps people with hearing loss, but it also helps people who are English language learners, or maybe people who learn more visually than from hearing, or people who are distracted because there's a lot of noise in the background. That's a curb cut. And most things that benefit people with disabilities are curb cuts.
All right, let's engage the audience now. What are some examples of curb cuts you've used? Different types of curb cuts. Type in the chat box and I'll read it out. Some examples: pinch to zoom. Have you used that on your phone? Captions, transcripts.
That's what I always tell people when I teach introductory accessibility classes. I'll be like, how many people have used assistive technology? And nobody will raise their hands. And then I'll say, how many people have done pinch to zoom on their phones to make something larger? And everybody will raise their hands. And I'm like, congratulations, you've all used assistive technology.
Yep. I see RAMs, captions. Captions seems to be really popular, Meryl. Meryl's a captions expert. Screen reader, dark mode, noise canceling, earbuds, text messaging, voice note and captions, FaceTime, dark mode again, lots of subtitles, Dragon, voice to text. Excellent. So I think we've made the point here, right? This is definitely a myth. Thank you, Sheri. Myth 8 is for Lucy. People who are blind cannot work or hold a job. I think it's related to the one you mentioned earlier, but love your comments on this. Lucy?
So I'd like to know, if I can't work or hold a job, why I've been in a job for 15 years. It's basically an absolute incorrect myth, in that people who are blind, people who are deaf, people who have other disabilities, of course we can work and hold jobs. Of course we can contribute. Some of us work in disability related areas because that happens to be where our interest is. Others of us work in other fields and other industries. We can do almost any job except for drive a bus. And, you know, driving a bus, who knows, when the buses become autonomous, maybe we can do that. It's pretty hard to think of a blind person who can't have a job. There's nothing because of blindness. There's nothing because of being deaf or hard of hearing. There's nothing saying that we can't work because of that disability. We all want to, but we all also can and will. I mean, I have a friend who is a psychologist. I have friends who work in the technology industry. My friend who is the psychologist, in fact, is a director of a medical clinic where she has 50 people reporting to her, none of which are blind. She can not only be a person who works there, she can be their boss.
I love it. Thank you, Lucy. Myth 9, Meryl, you're up. Closed captioning on videos only benefits deaf people.
Well, I think everybody should answer that with Sheri mentioning curb cuts. But let me go back. When people think of the reason to caption a video, most think of two reasons. One is to make the video accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing, and two, to help second language learners and new readers. So some creators looking for captioning, creators may think the audience doesn't include deaf or hard of hearing people, or too small to bother. We need to make the business case in a different way. Flip the script, as Mark said. Data from Verizon Media say that 80% of those using captions are not deaf or hard of hearing. So you reach far more viewers with captions. Additionally, several social media networks have found that if the videos are watched without sound, as Sheri mentioned again, the curb cut, they help so many people. People pushing travelers pulling luggage, workers pulling heavy loads on dollies, bikers riding, skateboarders flying. Captions are one of my favorite examples of curb cut, as everybody said in the chat. Simply put, you reach far more people with a caption video than one without caption. Don't miss out on these opportunities.
Thank you, Meryl. 80% of the people who use captions are not deaf. And I'm one of them. I use captions all the time. In fact, it's the only way I consume videos on social media. So thank you for that, Meryl. Imran, this one is for you. Myth number 10, blind people cannot become engineers and work in tech jobs.
Seems like there are a ton of myths out here that we are all dispelling and debunking. So I am currently working for Charter Communications as an architect. So I'm actually above a lot of the engineers who work with me. And so if somebody is still believing in that myth, they can come work on my behalf and I can take a break. Because I have been an engineer for, I would say, about 10 years. When I came to this country, one of the reasons why I came was to become a software engineer, because that was the same myth that was being propagated back home in Pakistan, where people thought that a blind person couldn't even use a computer, let alone be a software engineer. So to prove my point and to be not only just be able to get education, but also be able to contribute at a wide scale and make a difference, I decided to come to the US, get my education. And my long-term goal still remains is to develop a talking software and a Braille library back home, and develop a synthesizer that speaks language Urdu and other local languages, because currently most of the synthesizers are in languages other than the ones that we speak back home. So I totally disagree with the myth, and anytime I get the opportunity, I would dispel it.
And actually, there are tons of blind people. Computers is one of the jobs that lots of blind people tend to flock to, because they can make it pretty accessible and they can understand the programming. So the field of engineering is, I wouldn't say, I don't know percentage wise, but I do know of lots of blind people who are coming out of high school and college, and they are getting engineering degrees, either assistive tech degrees or even higher to be engineers, in technical engineers, and some of them do mechanical engineering. They kind of branch off too.
And
Right.
one other thing I would just like to add quickly. When I came to the US and completed my undergrad in computer science, I was the first one from Pakistan to have done so as a blind person. And since then, a lot of my friends, that really inspired and motivated them, and they have joined forces as well. Many of them have gone to other countries or even come to the US to continue pursue their passion as well. So we have a huge number of engineers who are blind.
I'll just add that at VMware, we have people who are blind on the accessibility team. Obviously, a quarter of our accessibility team is legally blind, but we also have blind people in professional services, in sales, in support. There's no department where we exclude people and say, no, blind people can't apply for that job. Any job is available to anyone.
Thank you, Sheri. I'm going to open this up to all the panelists. I'm going to stay here for a bit because I think that this is a good topic to explore just a little bit more since we are talking to a group of students here. When it comes to people with disabilities and STEM, what would you say to a person with a disability, a young person with a disability who wants to pursue education and a career in STEM jobs, but is hesitating to do that? What would you say to that person? Let's start with Sheri.
I would say, for starters, don't self-select out of something because of what you think other people think. People with disabilities need to, unfortunately, learn to advocate for themselves, starting in the education setting and going throughout, careers and life in general. Figure out what you need to make yourself successful and learn how to ask for it.
Lucy?
So I think it's really important to realize that blindness is not, or deafness is not, or cerebral palsy, or any of the disabilities is not something that changes the fact that you're able to contribute and changes the fact that you're able to have a perspective. I mean, you can think of blindness or deafness or cerebral palsy as just a way to have a different perspective. If you're an engineer, the whole idea behind engineering, let's talk mechanical engineering right now, is to find ways that things interact with each other, to find ways to structurally build things. Well, if you're blind, maybe you have a better sense of touch and how the angles and things move together and things connect and how the gears turn, because you actually feel them instead of just seeing them. If you're deaf, you might have the understanding of, vibration a little bit more. It's all just a different perspective and a different way of looking at things and working through, the idea. If you don't have those perspectives, you're not getting the full picture.
Sheri and Lucy did a good job. As Lucy was saying, we bring a different perspective. We look at things differently. So do what you want to do. Don't feel like you have to do a certain career or a certain job because of your disability. Forget that. Do something you love. Do something you're passionate about, because you won't enjoy your life if you feel like you are being forced to do something, and go for it. And most importantly, as Sheri said, you're going to have to be your best advocate, because no one else will do it for you. So hopefully everybody's had parents like mine. Mine were great advocates for me. I learned from them. And guess what? So advocacy helped me be better advocate for myself and for my children.
Yep. Thank you, Meryl. Mark?
Yeah, well, it's not like I'm big-minded or anything like that. I have a big ego, but we have a few deaf and hard of hearing engineers that work with pilots or different in Washington, different airlines.
For Boeing company.
For Boeing, thank you. And there's some work in software. We have deaf UX designers with Amazon, design engineers, pay to be part of the system. So one very important thing that we need to want to comment about is that you have to understand accessibility is not the same as inclusion. For example, captioning and signs, those aren't the same thing. We have different things set up for captioning. That doesn't mean that we're including all people who sign. So if someone might need a different perspective, would make sure that they're included from the beginning with the design process and development with engineers. So the end result, to make sure that everybody is included. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Mark. Rojene, any comments on STEM and people with disabilities and how students should think about it?
Do what you love. Like, I always loved the computers when I was growing up, because I live on computers, so I really love computers, and this is why I'm in this path. So don't down yourself. You just do what you love.
Thank you, Rojene. All right, let's continue down the path of busting myths. Myth 11 is for Mark. Sign language is universal. People from all over the globe understand and use the same sign language.
Well, that's false. It's just like with tactile or written language, spoken language. We have a variety of different sign languages as well. sign language has been around since 500 BC, but we just have about in the 18th century, we dug a little bit deeper and we found that there are different sign language systems, but there haven't been a lot of documentation. There's probably about 130 different sign language systems. So in the beginning, there's about 300 signs used today. But no, with signing with ASL, it's a little bit PSE, mine. It's not exactly ASL, it's different from ASL, but it's a good example for different signs in the US itself. So yeah, sign language is not universal. We don't have one system. That's a myth.
Thank you, Mark. Myth 12. This is for you, Rojene. People with cerebral palsy cannot fully communicate. When I was talking to you about this panel, you had shared with me an experience of working as an intern, a marketing intern. So tell us that story.
So I'm Bart. I'm you are here, so thank you for being here. So I'm currently interning there. I'm doing their social media, and I get my assignment done on time. So, and I am.
Rojene, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to take the last myth before we turn this over to audience questions and wrapping this up. Myth number 13, you can see all disabilities. Okay, let me tell you why this is a myth. Over 70% of disabilities are invisible disabilities, which means that when you look at a person, they may look like me, but they may be dealing with a disability that you may not be aware of. And so a lot of times what we do is that we assume that because a person looks a certain way, that they are an able-bodied person. Some of the invisible disabilities that we have heard, you may have heard of, and I would like the audience to type in the chat box, what are some invisible disabilities you've heard of? Depression and anxiety, ADHD, dyslexia. What are some other ones? Let's see. Color blindness. I'm looking at the audience chat box. I would love the panelists to also pitch in if you have any comments on this. Chronic fatigue and pain, lupus, dyscalculia, diabetes, arthritis. Sheri, Lucy, Mark, Rojene, Imran, Meryl, any comments on invisible disabilities?
I would just add that disabilities sometimes tend to go together.
Yep.
So if you have one disability, you're more likely to have certain other disabilities that go along with it. People see me in my wheelchair and they automatically think, oh, look, she's in a wheelchair, she has a disability. Well, for me, the wheelchair's been a way to get around for, more than 50 years at this point. It's not really my disability. My disability is actually, I'm a type 1 diabetic. So every piece of food I put in my mouth, I have to think about and take insulin for. That's what kicks my ass on a daily basis, not the wheelchair use.
Yeah. Yeah. One other thing I would like to mention that we haven't talked about yet is that a lot of times we hear about how accessibility benefits about 15-20% of the population. But the reality is that a lot of people with invisible disabilities do not disclose their disability for different reasons. And a very common problem we find is that there's a lot of fear and shame associated with talking about invisible disabilities, especially, I think talking about disabilities in general, but specifically invisible disabilities is a difficult one to talk about in a work environment for fear of, different things. Your employer thinking that you're not going to be productive, fear of losing your job, fear of how your colleagues perceive you. And so a lot of the work that we need to do together is to normalize the conversations around disabilities of all kinds and make it a safe zone for not just students and employers, but also at home to feel comfortable to talk about different kinds of disabilities in the home environment. So hopefully that'll be a good takeaway for everyone here. So now that we've tackled all the myths, I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning, which is our goal today is to help you feel engaged and involved and connected. So type in the chat box.
Can I kind of follow up on what you just said, though, which
Yes.
for me is really something that's key and is neglected a lot when we have the conversations of accessibility, is that accessibility is the ability to include people in all parts of life and aspects. You know, when we think about where the big advancements are for accessibility in the last 10 years, who would have thought, you know, when we first started on this journey, that the gaming industry would be doing as well as it is for accessibility. And that's because it's inclusive. It's something that's bringing people together. You know, children are playing with their siblings. You know, maybe the child has cerebral palsy, but now they can play with their blind brother or sister, or they can play with their sighted brother or sister, able-bodied. The gaming industry has actually done a lot to make, you know, a level playing field for everyone, where you can bring yourself to the table and all your different conditions and various things and be entertained. Entertainment is also a really important aspect of accessibility. You know, how many people have listened to an audio described movie and said, there's no way I could have caught all the details that that description caught. It helped enhance the story for me. It's improving the products in general.
Yeah. Thank you, Lucy. So what I said at the beginning of the conversation was that we are here to help you feel engaged, connected, involved, and ready to take action as an ally. So in the chat box, tell us what are you feeling right now that we have spent this time together busting myths about people with disabilities. So go ahead and type in one word of how you're feeling right now. I hope you're feeling prepared to become an ally for us. So before we close, we just have a few more minutes. I would like to ask the panelists. I have two questions here, but I'm going to go with this one since we are limited on time. I'm a big fan of doing one thing. And so if you were to ask the audience here to do one thing as an ally, as someone who supports an inclusive world, what would that one thing be?
So I would, since this is a hackathon that we're talking about, I would point people to the WCAG standards, which stands for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. It's a good first step to making software at least nominally accessible. And then once you get it accessible, then you can work on making it more usable by everyone, including people with disabilities.
Lucy?
Engage with people with disabilities. Reach out, work with people with disabilities, you know, make friends, make enemies, what have you, but learn about people with disabilities by talking to people with disabilities. They're not frightening, they're not scary, and they're not contagious.
Thank you, Lucy. Meryl?
It's everybody's job. Marketing, sales, HR, everyone. And accessibility is for everyone as well. Because when you make your content accessible, you give people a choice in how they want to consume their content. Some people who are blind like screen reader because it helps them. Like they might have an auditory processing disorder and they prefer screen readers over reading. So accessible content gives you more choices for accessing content.
Thank you, Meryl. Imran Jan?
Yeah, so I would say when you think about accessibility, don't think as a chore, as an extra thing that you have to do. You know, think about it as part of the process. You know, like any other expectation or priority that the company may have assigned. So don't think of accessibility as the last thing to do, because actually that approach backfires, and what you think might save time actually ends up costing companies thousands of dollars having to retrofit accessibility after the fact. So always make sure the accessibility is baked into the process from the very beginning. And I just part of the culture.
Yep. Thank you, Imran. Jan, anything from you?
Jan had to step away for a second to check on kids.
No worries. Mark, do one thing.
Visit Microsoft website. They have inclusion design. There are leaders with being able to help you with your design, with your products, and with accessibility from the beginning. They're a leader with being able to recognize exclusion, making sure people are all included. You have to make sure that you ask yourself who's missing from the conversation. And if someone is missing from the conversation, then you know that you need to be able to invite those people themselves to the table for the conversation and figure out the solutions together. Maybe your product won't be successful because it's not working for that particular individual who's not at the table. So I encourage you to visit Microsoft's website. It's a really good starting place.
Thank you, Mark. Rojene?
I want to say this because we have cognitive, for instance, like when I'm with my mom, they will straight right away ask her, but not ask me. They think I cannot talk for myself, so they go straight to her. But if you give me time to answer, I give you a question because we're all smart. We can do this. Something.
Thank you, Rojene. As I close, I want to read some of the words people are feeling right now: empowered, excited, informed, educated, great insights, inspired. Thank you, thank you, thank you, University of Washington, for letting us do this. Thank you, panelists, for being here, for your amazing insights. And I'd like for all of us to give each other a big hand for being here and for everyone to participate in becoming an ally. In the chat box, go ahead and tell us how you're feeling. Tell us, raise a hand, and we're hoping that you will all participate in becoming allies. We hope to do more events like this. So follow all these amazing panelists on LinkedIn. They always post amazing things. And on the Accidental Ally website, we will be posting a lot of helpful information that will hopefully guide you through the hackathon process over the next few days. So thank you, Ashwini. Thank you, team. And have a great day, everyone. Absolutely lovely to see you. Thank you to our interpreters and also our live captioner for supporting the event today. Have a nice day, everyone.
Way to go, Rojene.
Marcella, I'm going to stop recording now.